We thank Apt Electronics and Appliances, our title sponsor here on Live from My Office. The month is May, and Apt, of course, is your number one destination for the home and your number one destination for everything furniture. I sleep on an Apt mattress. I sit in an Apt recliner. I may have Apt furniture I've forgotten about. But with an upcoming expansion of the furniture showroom, which is going to provide an additional 30,000 square feet, I don't even know where they're going to put that. Apt is the perfect place to get inspired for a living room makeover and more. Maybe a complete home update if you like. Maybe a chair and a half, or maybe a recliner. Maybe a new mattress. All right, now I'm just channeling me. Explore rugs and sofas and dining tables and mattresses and more with trend-setting brands like Palliser and FlexSteel, Hooker Furniture, and, of course, Our House as well. Visit the store in Glenview to shop stylish furniture in person or explore the collection at apt.com. For free and home delivery, professional installation, and complete satisfaction, shop Apt, pleasing people since 1936. And don't forget, if you use the promo code Cochran25, spend $150 or more, and they'll give you $25 back. Save $25 with the promo code Cochran25 in store and at apt.com. Welcome to another exciting edition of a special edition of Live from My Office.
Which is it? Jesus, we haven't even started yet.
You know, Live from My Office is one of the world's biggest podcasts. You know that. It's the number one podcast that comes out of this office that I'm currently in. Mm-hmm. You've been a guest many times.
I have.
Mark DeCarlo. More on him in a moment. But I wanted to start a second podcast called Anything But Politics because everybody's sick of talking about Orange Julius Caesar and everyone else. So Anything But Politics is me and my friends just riffing on various topics, which is what we'll do in a second.
Okay.
However, in an effort to do the right thing, I did a search of the title for the podcast, Anything But Politics. Turns out a group in New Hampshire owns it. And on that topic, they talk about politics on their podcast. Now, why they call it Anything But Politics, I'm not clear.
Could it be an ironic title that they're trying to be sly with?
I don't know. Is anyone in New Hampshire ironic?
No, but they all wear very comfortable LL Bean clothing.
Yeah, I don't think you can be ironic in New Hampshire.
No,
Yeah.
You have to be ironic.
And if you are that, congratulations, because it means you've done a cleanse.
Well, they don't call it the Granite State for nothing.
So anyway, it's called Anything But Politics, and in just a second, I will give you topics. You'll tell me what order we want to do them, and we'll just talk. That's all.
That's it. It sounds like it's a trick.
No, the trick is this hat. This hat. See this Survive 2025 hat?
Where can I buy one?
You can buy one at survive2025.us. You can also get a shirt. Look at how handsome these shirts are. You know, I'm glad you brought this up. I just happen to have one.
What are the odds of that?
Just happen to have one right here. Be great if I could hold it up.
Nice.
For an ooh and an ah.
Now, can I ask you a question? Just for the sonic poetry of the sound, why didn't you say Survive 25?
Because that group in New Hampshire already had it. No, I forget. It went through that whole thing, but I mean, that's all you got to do. And they're great. And people are buying them. And you know what it is? It's not a political fight. It's just saying this year sucks.
Believe me, that is true.
Yeah. You and I both talked off the air about how we've lost friends. After we finish this, I'm headed to New York State for a funeral of my brother-in-law. And it goes a little bit with the age, because when you reach 60 or older, you'll get there someday. It is the fourth quarter, and there's no guarantee of overtime.
Correct.
So people start dropping, and it sucks. It just sucks. But anyway, the year has been just really shitty in so many ways.
It's like you wake up every day, and I feel like I'm in a blender. So I have to kind of stay connected to what's going on in the world, but also disconnect and do other things. I've been enjoying the success of the Cubs. I've been enjoying the fact that there's a Chicago Pope in the Vatican.
Yeah, that happens to be one of the topics. This happens to be one of our topics.
All right, well, I don't encroach on your topic salad.
But let's do some plugs for you. You live in Los Angeles. You're a Chicago boy. You were just in town. And what do you do in L.A., Mark? I don't know who you are. What do you do in L.A.?
Right now, I'm finishing up post-production on a new animated feature that I wrote and produced and appear in called Pinocchio and what is it called? Pinocchio and the Water of Life. Well, the title change.
You're yelling at me about the podcast? What is there, a group in New Hampshire that did this film?
It's a really funny, like, family animated movie from a studio in Europe. Got a great cast. Jonas Kibriab, the kid from Ilio, is our lead. He plays Pinocchio. And some of the best comedic voice actors in the world are in it. Rob Paulson and Mo LaMarche from Pinky and the Brain. Fred Tatasciore, he plays the Hulk in Yosemite Sam. Tom Kenny, who's SpongeBob. Phil Lamar, who's Green Lantern. Really great group of people. And we recorded it. I don't know how much you know about radio or voiceover, Steve.
Not familiar.
Back in the day, like when we were doing Jimmy Neutron, for example, everyone would be in the studio at once and we would all record together.
Old radio style.
Right, exactly. And I think for comedy, that's the only way to do it. Nowadays, you record one-on-one with a guy in your house on a Zoom, and it's not as fun. So we had everybody together. And,
cool.
It's really funny. So we're finishing up the post. We're doing the music and some editing, and it should be out probably third quarter, fourth quarter this year.
Big screen?
Huge screen.
Be released in theaters or streaming?
We don't know yet. Personally, I hope it's streaming because there's also a chance for a television series after it, like we did with Jimmy Neutron. A lot of really funny people in it. It's a good story. It's not the Pinocchio. We went back to the original Pinocchio book written by Carlo Collodi, myself and my writing partner, Ryan Rowe, and we fashioned this totally new adventure that's kind of like Scooby-Doo and Josie and the Pussycats, a group of people.
Well, that's your elevator pitch. Let me hear the elevator pitch. What is it?
That's it. It's Josie and the Pussycats with puppets.
Nice. No. Nice.
It's fun. You know what? It's just fun to work with hilarious people when the hardest part of your job is keeping quiet while they're recording.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Now, the term writing partner comes up all the time in L.A. for civilians, like me, new to the business. Writing partner, is it essential?
No.
To have a writing partner?
No, I've written screenplays by myself, and I've written with a writing partner. It takes longer to write with a writing partner, but you have someone to bounce stuff off of. And typically, as you fight your way through each scene, what survives is better than I think what one person could have written on their own. And
so do you write beginning to end, or do you know how it ends and write backwards?
You sit around for a week and you block out the story. All right, who are our characters? These are our characters. What do they do? What do they want? How do they get there? What stands in their way? And you get the basic story intact, more or less.
Now, I don't think people understand there's a basic 3-act structure to a play, to a movie, to anything that's successful. But there's all the great animation I've ever seen, including the Bugs Bunny shorts, have that 3-act structure. Do you write that in?
You use that as a skeleton to hang the meat of your jokes on. And you're right about Looney Tunes. They were brilliantly conceived, brilliantly executed, 3-act little plays. And, it's just the way the human mind works is there's who's your hero? What horrible things does he go through? How does he triumph? What makes him special to enable him to win? And then how he wins in the end. And
favorite Bugs Bunny of all time?
Ooh.
I'll give you one because this may be yours. What's Opera, Doc?
I was going to say. Yes.
Tremendous. It's tremendous.
I also like the one where he makes the Italian tenor go crazy at the Hollywood Bowl, because I live very close to the Hollywood Bowl now. And I feel that's sort of like my hometown cartoon. Sure. And I love Bugs' house at the beginning of that.
Now, one of the topics here is going to be travel, but
all right.
by way of travel, because I know how much you love New Orleans.
I sure do.
Have you played the Hollywood Bowl? Because people don't know what a great musician you are.
I have not. I have played with people who've played at the Hollywood Bowl. Big Bad Voodoo Daddy and Buddy Guy and other people. And I've been on stage at the Hollywood Bowl, but not when people were there.
What a cheap thrill.
You know what? It's pretty amazing. It's 18,000 people, and it's enormous, and it's beautiful. Tell you, if you're traveling to Los Angeles during the summer, doesn't matter what the gig is, go to the Hollywood Bowl for the night. It's I know you have Ravinia in Chicago and the new one down by where Meigs Field used to be, which is a nice venue. But the Bowl, it was built as a WPA project back in the 30s. And it's that and Red Rocks are my two favorite venues in America.
Red Rocks is crazy.
Yeah.
It's amazing. All right, so here are your topics, my friend. The Pope.
And wait, we're going to decide. You're going to give me the 5, then I'm going to tell you which order we want to discuss them.
You're just going to pick them in order as you want to do them.
And how long should we have each discussion?
Until it's not funny or entertaining. So some of these could be really short.
Really quick. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But there also could be profound. They don't have to be funny. The Pope, that's a topic. Rome, if you want to. See what I did there?
Yeah.
That's a topic. Bad parental advice, that's 3. Strange races around the world, not politics, that's 4. And your Chicago Cubs, that's 5. Okay?
All right.
I'm thinking you want to start with the Pope. You brought him up already.
All right, let's start with the Pope.
I love it. I love it. I love it. The guy seems like an extension of Francis, which we would hope would happen. Because I don't know if you know this, the Catholic Church, by nature, a little conservative.
Just a bit. I went to Catholic school for 12 years, so I'm well aware.
Right. So the idea of maybe ordaining women at some point or fully accepting gay marriage and things, will they happen in our lifetime? I don't know, but they should.
Well, I also think that just the hold organized religion has on the world at large has been decreasing over time because, in many ways, it's a very simplistic, infantile argument. Be nice or you're going to burn forever. And I see how that may have worked 500 years ago, but people have access to more information now. And I think if you want to appeal to them and help them connect with the universe or spirituality or whatever you want to call it, you've got to broaden your base. And I think the first thing they should do is let the priests marry.
100%.
Why? I don't understand. I mean, back in the day, they didn't because of money. They didn't want to, they didn't want the estate of the priest to be diluted by the woman's family, so they kicked him out. But that is
the absolute historical reason for it. There's not a reason based in biblical terms, and there's not a reason based on the founding of Christianity. It was about money, and too much of the Catholic faith is about money. Having been to the Vatican? Yes, having been to the Vatican, walking through a hallway of ornate rugs that's probably a mile long. And I'm thinking back in Chicago, they're closing schools. Sell a frickin' rug.
Yeah. They have all kinds of stuff that isn't even on display that they have just, cause.
Yeah.
I think that would be talk about winning people back to the church. I think that would be a great way to get in the news cycle and start a conversation. Give me a good reason why women can't be priests.
There isn't one.
Well, because they'd cry during Mass.
I cry during Mass because it's too damn long.
When Jesus dies, they cry, so we can't have him be a priest.
I cry during Mass because I can't get down on the kneeler with my bad knee. That's my problem. No, the problem I have...
I don't always like being forced to shake hands with strangers.
Right.
Because there's some people, they might smell weird, or they just have a dour look on their face. Peace be with you, but don't touch me.
We live in a post-COVID world.
We sure do.
So, we got to be sensible.
So I'm all for the Chicago Pope. He just seems like a Chicago guy. I love how the Sox trolled the Cubs with him being a Sox fan and all the memes. I spent the whole day laughing my ass off. My favorite, I actually ordered a T-shirt from Mouth Hugs. It says Holy Spirits, and it's the Pope holding up an old style and a bottle of Malort.
How about that? Well, see, now here, I'm glad you brought this up for 2 reasons. One, you should probably go ahead and order a Survive 2020. No, but one... that's come up again and again. People here in Chicago, in the greater Chicago area, you may have run into this. They get offended because whenever there's a world story or a national story about Chicago, the comedians go for the easy, low-hanging fruit. Malort, everybody eats too much pizza. The Cubs don't win enough. The White Sox don't win, whatever the case may be. But as you know, as a comedian, and I come from comedy as well, I'm new.
There's a comedy museum in Western New York you should check out.
In Jamestown.
Yeah,
I highly recommend it. Even though I can't get the woman to call me back, the woman who runs, that's a whole other thing. But the point is, if you're doing a national show, you have to find the laughs for a national audience.
Right.
And if you're doing a local show, then you don't have to do the easy stuff. It's just comedy principles.
So you've had to work harder throughout your career to delight the public, is what you're saying.
I still do. I mean, the delight from the public in response to me and my act, we're still waiting.
Right.
We're still waiting. But I think the voting's rigged. Oh, wait, I said no politics. I apologize.
See, we should have buzzers. And when the other guy actually says something even vaguely political,
shock system. I like that.
Yes.
Sitting on some sort of electrical seat.
We're developing this idea on the fly, Steve.
You're an innovator. All right, moving on.
We're done with the Pope?
Unless you have something else.
I just, I can't wait till his first press conference or whatever they do over there, Because I think his first line should be, "Hello, I'm the Pope, and do I know a guy?"
Got a guy.
I got a guy.
You need a blessing? I got a guy.
Don't worry about it. Go 2-3 Hail Marys, 2-3 Our Fathers. Put a 20 under the thing. Everything will be fine.
And meet you on the French porch. Yeah.
In the front room.
Yeah,
I
the French
turned
room.
the St. Peter's into my front room.
And we weren't going to make it easy in a cliche. All right, so there's your Pope. And we wish the Pope nothing but success. We need him to be great. 1.5 billion Catholics in the world. There's a great depression of attendance at church in America and also in Europe. Yet in Africa and Mexico and South America, Catholic religion going through the roof. What do you make of that? They got 90% turnout in church in South and Central America.
Well, when you're poor and desperate, any shiny object can be appealing.
Yeah, hope. It's about hope.
The Catholic Church, if nothing else, is shiny and appealing, and the grandiosity of the cathedrals, it's aspirational, I guess, to people. And, you need something to hang on to. And if it, whatever, listen, there's a billion different religions on this planet. Whatever, my metaphor is always PCs and Macintosh. You type them on both, the letter that you print out looks the same. The way you get there is different, but if you're, I believe there's an intelligence to the universe, and however you choose to connect to it, that's great. You can do TM, you can do religion, whatever. And I think when you're poor and you have limited opportunity, you go into a giant church with all this gold and silver and cool stuff. I think the subtext is, these people know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and in addition to that, I just sum it up this way. I had an uncle who was a missionary in Venezuela, went deep into the jungles of Venezuela to try to bring God to tribes and folks that were, living day to day, and was successful at it. And a very interesting guy. And he had this thing too that it's unfair to sum it up this way, maybe, but find out who your God is and get closer to your God. You'll be better tomorrow than you were today.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
It is.
All right, I'm adding a new topic.
Have you've been to Rome and Florence?
Yeah.
Right? Imagine it's 1400 and you're a peasant working in the fields, growing tomatoes or whatever, although they didn't have tomatoes then. That's a New World fruit.
I didn't know that.
It is true. Imagine you come into the Duomo in Florence or St. Peter's and you see this, of course whoever built that knows what they're talking about.
Right.
And it's makes you feel really small, and you want to connect to that, I think. So it's psychological.
Did you have the same experience I had at the Michelangelo when you go to see the great statue of David? It's large. It's very large, right? But genetically a little off. It's not quite, to scale.
What are you trying to say?
Well, what I'm trying to say is women spent more time at that statue taking laps, because you can literally walk all the way around it, taking laps around the David again and again and again. I saw it from a distance. I went, wow, small penis. And I walked away. But it's an amazing piece of sculpture. But I don't know. Why do you think women were spending so much time with it?
Well, the way I've read a lot about that, Michelangelo made the hands and the feet larger than the body, than the scale of what the body should have been, because of the perspective that you'd be looking at it. He also wanted to make him seem big and strong. Why he made the penis small? If you were fighting a giant, wouldn't your nuts be up in your stomach a little bit?
You do get a little shrinkage.
Little bit?
Yeah, you get a little shrinkage.
And maybe it was bigger, and as he was working on it, he chipped it, and then you've got to scale it back.
Ouch.
Actually, I'm selling that David foreskin on eBay. It's a relic of the church. Very, very expensive. You can get it at survive25.us.
US, that's
Just
exactly
type in relic David. Penis.
All right. Here are your remaining topics.
There's only one in existence. So it's a bidding war.
And it's valuable.
It sure is.
Rome, if you want to. I'm adding a topic, by the way. Are pet owners crazy? That's another topic. Parental advice, strange races, and your Chicago Cubs.
Let's go with strange races.
Strange races. That's an interesting choice.
I'm thinking about the reptilians that live under the planet that supposedly run the planet. It's an alien race of intelligent reptilians that run the world.
That would be great, if not for the fact that I'm referring to strange foot races around the world.
Well, that would be different then.
Are you a runner?
No.
What if someone's chasing you?
I would be a runner. I've had several knee operations, so now I ice skate. I don't run.
Isn't that harder on your knees?
No, because there's no impact. You're pushing, but there's no bouncing up and down. I play ice hockey, and you get bounced around, but your knees don't take it usually.
Do you have exceptionally strong ankles?
I really do. I have cankles. You know where I got them? Survived 20.
Every spring, people gather on Cooper's Hill near the English town of Brockworth, and they can't wait to run after a giant wheel of cheese. In this race, organizers send 7 to 9 pound wheels of cheese rolling down Cooper's Hill in various heats. The competitors chase the cheese, not code, down the hill, and these races date back to 1826. Now, in 2013, the organizers were forced to swap the real cheese for a foam imitation due to safety concerns because some of the competitors would nibble at the cheese at the end and get sick. So, the Wheel of Cheese race.
First of all, I was one of the people protesting when they changed from real cheese to the fake cheese.
Well, you're a traditionalist. You always have.
It doesn't have the same weight. It doesn't roll the same. It's not the same game. And they used to, at the bottom of the hill, have a big vat of pasta noodles, a la Kraft mac and cheese. The wheel would fall into there. It would melt in the hot noonday sun. And
Fantastic.
then there would be like a mac and cheese jacuzzi. And then it would get, people would take off their clothes. It got pretty.
It got weird.
People got the freak on.
Yeah, it got weird. Now, this is why they don't have a giant potato salad race. Because if that's sitting out in the sun all day, you are going to have a...
Right. Also, it wouldn't really roll. It would just kind of...
Have you been to Wales?
Well, I dated a lot before I got married. I don't know what you mean. No.
Win a race, a man or a horse?
A
The
horse
man,
would, a horse,
man versus horse marathon takes place in the Welsh town of Learwood Wells every single June. And it is a 26.2-mile race where a man races a horse. If you think the horse always wins, you're wrong. Horses have lost to humans on 4 different occasions, including last year.
Because they ran the wrong way? How could a man outrun a horse?
If you use your man brain, I suppose you bribe the horse. You get near the end, you throw down a big pail of oats.
Or you make them wear like some sort of constricting thing so their legs can't move in total. It's like running with your pants down, the horse version of that.
Or you flip the blinders actually over the eyes so the horse can't see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously, how could you, how long, it's a marathon. You said 26.2 miles?
Yeah.
The only way the man wins is if the horse goes off the track and gets lost.
I don't think you're wrong, but you also are assuming I was interested enough to click the link to learn more, and I wasn't.
Okay, yeah, why waste time?
All right, do you know the Iditarod?
I sure do.
Yeah, the Iditarod in Alaska, the sled dog race.
I got to actually drive a sled dog, a dog sled once when I was up in Alaska on the Travel Channel. It was cool.
Really?
They're very strong. It was difficult to get them to stop. Once they get going, it's like 6 or 8 dogs, and
that's a problem. Slow down. Yeah. How about the Idiot Rod?
I would like to hear more about it.
Organized in various cities across North America, including Los Angeles and Chicago, a group of idiots races a shopping cart through the streets until they're stopped by police. Whichever group of idiots gets the farthest is declared the winner of the race.
I want to do it.
It's the Idiot Rod.
And how do you qualify for idiocy?
Please. I'm sure we all could have someone nominate us.
I could see people in a lot of people would qualify here in Los Angeles. Do you have to? So basically, you're a bunch of idiots trying to not look like idiots as you run through the streets, or are you supposed to look like uber idiots?
No, you're supposed to look like complete idiots. I mean, you're pushing a shopping cart with one of the idiots in it, and you're making great deals of noise and weaving in and out of traffic.
That's on Ventura Boulevard here
in
Los Angeles. That's you're not going to attract any attention here.
Or Lower Wacker. Yes.
No pun intended.
Yeah. Wacker, I barely knew her. Continuing on, pet owners are crazy. Bad parental advice. Roam if you want to, or the Cubs.
Pet owners are crazy, Steve.
Make it 56% of pet owners say they would shorten their lives if it would allow their pets to live longer.
And I guarantee you 98% of those people are cat owners.
Yeah, listen, I love dogs, but I have to say, dog owners have gone around the bend as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, when I see someone that has, say, a tiny dog, or as I like to call it, a dog starter kit,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think a minimum weight for a dog to qualify as a dog ought to be 15 pounds.
Yeah.
You should not be able to put a dog in a purse.
No.
You should not be able to take a dog to a business meeting.
Or on an airplane.
No.
Because you need a support animal. Come
on.
The
support animal is the person you're flying with.
Exactly.
Right?
It's just, hey, I don't want to pay a dog sitter for a week, so I'm bringing my dog on the plane, and come on. Really? If you're that freaked out about flying, take a bus.
American Airlines actually, because we did this on New Year's Eve this year on the last stand-up show. Well, not the last ever. I mean, my last New Year's Eve show for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, support animals. I have a picture of this, and it actually happened on American Airlines. Toy pony. What do they call the small ponies, the horsies?
I called mine Gary.
This woman had her toy horse, her actual live horse, on the plane with her. She bought all 3 seats, and she had the horse in the row with her, with her. And American Airlines allowed it.
Why?
Exactly.
Why? What? First of all, why do you have a toy horse?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why do you have to bring it with you? Where are you going that you need your toy horse with you?
And wouldn't you think it would cause more stress? How are you getting comfort off of that when everyone's judging you and you're being asked not to do what you're doing? How is that a support animal?
Right. Well, I heard she was really nice. She let kids ride up and down the aisle during the flight. And a horse is not going to not poop for 4 hours. So you got horse poop on the plane. I mean, probably small compared to regular size horses, but come on.
Wasn't it?
I don't understand.
Samuel Jackson, who said, I am so effing tired of all these effing horses on this effing plane. Wasn't that him?
It was him. Yeah, that's the sequel.
Yeah.
I'm also working on that movie.
Rome if you want to, bad parental advice, or your Cubs.
Let's save the Cubs for last. Rome if you want to.
Now, you've been to Italy many, many times.
I have. I'm going back to officiate a wedding in September.
Very nice. Where will it be?
It will be outside of Milano in the city of Turin. We're going to go see the Shroud of Turin, and they're making, like, the whole table setting is going to be Shroud of Turin, napkins, place settings. It's going to be nice.
Same menu as the Last Supper?
Exactly. We're going to split it 13 ways.
A lot of people don't.
Egg salad.
A lot of people don't know this, that the Last Supper, and they didn't all get it, but Jesus offered key lime pie for dessert. I don't know. Did you not know that? I actually made you spit.
Snot came out of my nose. I didn't know.
I got to tell you.
It was a delicacy in the Middle East at the time.
I got to tell you, that's the greatest point of this day for me. Here's some things that you may not know about Rome. A city
Do you have any gluten-free pie? Thomas is celiac. And James gets gassy with cheese. Do you have any of that cashew cheese for the pizza? Every day these people come here. They never leave a tip. Nothing. This is your last supper here. Get out!
Well, that's where it came from.
Yes, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Waiter. Yeah.
That's fantastic. The Romans put white shiny stones in their roads to increase visibility at night because the moonlight would reflect it, and it stopped accidents between horses. A lot of horse talk on this episode.
Ton of it.
I mean, it seems to make total sense.
They were geniuses. The aqueducts that they built 2,000 years ago are still in use. They had a special, I just read about this yesterday, they had a special way to make their concrete. They used raw lime and also slaked lime that was heated and then mixed with the other concrete stuff.
That's what they use for the key lime pie?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
The dome at the Parthenon in Rome is the largest freestanding unreinforced concrete structure in the world, and it's 2,500 years old.
So there's another fact here. Roman concrete has chunks of calcium in it. It's called lime class, which is what you just said. Where do you come by your extensive knowledge of this?
I literally read it on the interweb yesterday. I was prepping for this event today.
So while other people are looking at porn, you're looking for interesting facts about concrete and lime.
I was actually watching a porno with people dressed up as Romans making cement, if you know what I mean.
Emperor Octavian once bought a raven from a merchant and taught it to say Caesar. I think that's a great party trick. You know, they didn't have the internet then.
Say it. He really does know how to say it.
And if he doesn't do it, what happens? You get another raven. I heard one party he went through 75 ravens until he got one to do it.
Well, they're very hard-headed, the ravens.
Graffiti.
Do they have are they like a parrot? They have a vocal box?
Apparently. Yeah.
We have ravens here. I haven't heard anybody say anything.
Maybe they're not talking to you.
Well, we do have, you know what? They pick up our fruit trees apart, and I'm angry about it.
I don't blame you. And the ravens mostly only do works of Edgar Allan Poe.
That is true.
That makes sense. Graffiti was invented in Rome.
Was it
Graffiti was a commonly used and popular political tool, even though this is anything but politics. This is not a political story.
This is historical.
If the Roman people were unhappy with something, they would paint it on the walls of buildings. Hey, Caesar, you suck! That
right
kind of thing.
Here with your taxes. Well, it functions the same way today. Street art is, it's the underclass's way of fighting the man and getting the word out on the street, and now it's become art. Look at Banksy.
That's true. Wrap it up, baby. The Gregorian calendar was, of course, invented by Italians, and specifically in Rome. However, the Gregorian calendar was, a lot of people don't know this, invented by a guy named Dave.
That's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
You'd think it'd be a guy named Calendar.
There were no stalls on Roman bathrooms. Everybody was just sitting there staring at each other as they did what they needed to do.
Yeah. They say that's the reason the Roman Empire crumbled. People were just so ashamed of... I don't like that. There are some bathrooms now that don't have stall walls.
No, it's ridiculous.
You know
what's really weird? When you go into a bathroom and they've figured out they needed one more urinal. This won't mean as much to you women listening. And they put the urinal without one of those elementary school dividers next to it.
By the front
So
door.
you're standing there washing your hands, and there's a guy 2 feet away peeing. That's not happening.
Yeah, it's kind of gross. I mean, first of all, I'm sure we both can agree the best urinals on the planet are the troughs at Wrigley Field.
There's no question.
There's no question about that.
Yeah.
It's just a fantastic...
And it's fun to share with your son. You bring a little kid in there, it's a first timer. He goes, you don't need to target. Hit anything you want.
Except that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, grandma, Mom won't be yelling at you today, son. Pee on that wall right there. So, and I have one more which you may be familiar with as an act.
I do have a travel story. When I'm traveling, and I'm going...
Well, we should say you did a show on a travel channel for years.
I sure did. When I'm traveling and I'm going to the bathroom in an airport bathroom, what I enjoy, especially if I'm traveling with a friend of mine who's also in the bathroom with me, as I'll go into the stall, close the door, and then just start screaming and grunting like I'm birthing a rhino. And then you flush and you come out as if nothing happened. And you get the best. It generates a lot of talk in your way.
I got to tell you, if
Oh my God. Oh, sweet Jesus.
This is why women hate us.
I'm telling you, it'll make you laugh. Just try it the next time. You're driving to New York. Stop at a Stuckey's or an IHOP or a Howard Johnson's and try it. It's loads of fun.
Good time for the road.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're giving someone else a story to tell. I was in the bathroom and I heard a guy screaming bloody murder and he came out and he looked fine. I didn't understand.
It's a gift that keeps on giving.
It really is.
And kind of a tag to that story is things that Europeans do that they don't know is weird. Now, you've traveled all over the world. Sure. I've traveled a bit myself. Mm-hmm. But in most parts of Europe, you can walk into a pharmacy and talk to a doctor or a licensed medical professional and be instantly prescribed something for whatever's ailing you.
True story. I had a toothache in Venice, and my wife Yenny went into the apothecary and got me a Z-Pack just saying that I wasn't even there. They go, here you go. They just give it to you.
Take this and be on your way.
Yeah.
Peace be with you and with you and with you and with you. People love outdoor cafes so much in Europe, they sit outside regardless of the weather.
Is this the true or false section of the show?
No, I'm told this is true.
Well, they do. Well, yeah. I mean, the architecture's 6,000-7,000 years old. That's the culture, especially in Paris or, the piazzas in Rome. There was no air conditioning, so you had to sit outside to stay cool. And that's where all the people are. Some of the greatest people watching in the world is Piazza Navona, the big piazzas in Rome, because you've got the Romans, you've got the other Italians, you've got people from all over the world, and it's just we'll kill an afternoon just doing that.
And so Europeans don't realize, and I'll say Italy in particular does not realize, the Italians don't realize how nice their gas stations are. Their gas stations are immaculate. There's fine restaurants in each one of them.
Yes.
There's also fast food fare if you choose.
Yes.
They are constantly cleaned. You could sleep in the restroom. I wouldn't advise it, but you could.
And they have the long, delicious espresso bar. We were driving from Rome up to Tuscany last year or the year before. We stopped in a gas station, and they had like a cardboard end cap thing that in America you'd find at a 7-Eleven selling plastic footballs or whatever, filled with balls of prosciutto, like a 16-inch softball, for 10 euros. Whereas here it would be 100 euros.
Right.
And we just bought a ball of prosciutto and just carved that up the rest of the trip. It was delicious.
You were gnawing on it in the car like an animal.
With a peppercorn crust. It was delicious. It was.
Europeans don't realize how slow the service is.
That is true.
Sitting down at a restaurant, it's not unusual to not be greeted for 15 minutes or more. And once you order, you may wait for another 30 minutes to an hour for your food to come.
It's a different pace of life. Europeans enjoy life. They're not in a hurry. They're not always staring at their phones. That's another way to spot American tourists compared to the locals. The American tourists are staring at their phone while they're staring, in front of St. Peter's. The Italians, everything's screwed up all the time anyway, so they sit and have an aperitif, or they have some espresso, and they enjoy the day.
Yeah, they think that you actually want to talk to the people you're with, not just eat and leave.
Right. Weird.
Beer is cheaper than water in Germany.
Did not know that.
Yeah. And Prague has the best beer in the world. Now, I don't drink beer, but have you been to Prague?
I haven't. I've been to Germany, and you can walk around the streets drinking their Berliner beer, whatever beer you want. I would think that Germany would have something to say to Prague about that. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I know Germany is not historically provocative in any way, shape, or form, but maybe they'll have something to say to the Pragians about the beer.
Well, we were in Prague last time. We had a tour guide, and a tour guide said, you notice there's not a lot of damage in Prague from the war. And part of that is because we like to get along. We don't really choose sides. And sure, everybody knew who was at fault then, but we didn't really want any trouble. That's why we still have these buildings. And that's when this topic of the beer came up. My daughter, who's not a big drinker by any means, and not a beer drinker, loved the beer in Prague. And she didn't come home with us. She's still there drinking.
Well, you run that risk whenever you travel. You don't drink beer at all, ever?
No, I mean, I've had it, but no, not a fan.
The beer in Germany, we may go to Prague this year.
It's a beautiful city. Beautiful city.
Yeah, because they took no sides.
They took no sides. That's exactly right.
City of cowards.
One more thing on Rome before we get to our Cubs topic to wrap this up, because obviously you're a very busy man.
Very.
But I did not know this until I visited the Coliseum, that actors were held in less than high esteem. And in the time of the Coliseum in particular, actors were merely for entertainment. And if they died, they died. They didn't make much money. They lived in communities where they would collect together, supposedly entertain each other. But you would never invite an actor to your home or to a party of any kind. Actors were lesser than. So what do you think those folks think as they're in whatever form of heaven they're in, looking down at our celebrity culture?
Well, the celebrity culture in America is sick, but tragedians have always been the lowest class of society. They're disposable. We jump around like a monkey and entertain other people who throw coins at our feet. Yet people still choose to do it because if that's your calling, that's your calling. And I'm sure there were also, there were probably perks if you were an actor in ancient Rome. Maybe the lady of the house would invite you over for I think we know. Yeah, exactly. When the man of the house was out and about and, footloose and fancy free.
It is an extension of the court jester from ancient times?
1,000%.
So the court jester comes in, entertains the ruler either kills them or doesn't, and they go back to their hole in the ground.
Well, yeah, there's stand-up comedy really it's the court jester. It's someone speaking truth to the power of society, ideally in a funny way. I don't know anyone better at that. I think George Carlin was the king. Chappelle is great. Chris Rock is really good at that. Not only being funny, but talking about things that are salient to society and important for people to hear, whether people agree with it or not. It stirs up conversation. If there's no stand-up comedy, I think a lot of that goes away.
Finally, your Chicago Cubs. Here on Anything But Politics. Are they for real?
Man, it's like I don't want to say it out loud because it's still so early. I think, you know what?
You just don't want to be hurt again.
I know, I've been hurt so many times. My new benchmark is, are they entertaining and fun to watch? And I think absolutely this team this year is. Last year they were frustrating. They didn't get hits with two outs. They had bad at-bats. They just were not – they played horribly. This team has – they're fun to watch. They do exciting things. The game yesterday was exciting. They come back. And I think the difference may be as simple as and complex as team culture, right? I mean, you've been on teams. You play golf. That's not really a team sport, is it?
Played football.
All right. There's a team mentality where if it's the right kind of mentality, you'll lay yourself on the line for the other guys on your team so that you win. And I think some teams professionally have that and some teams don't. And I think this year the Cubs do. So they're fun to watch.
One of the great things about Wrigley goes back to Harry Carey and Harry Carey's tradition of the seventh inning stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm lucky enough to have done that a couple of times.
I have not.
I'm sorry. Did I mention I've done it twice?
Yeah, and every time Montaigne does it, he calls me and tells me, hey, I just did it again.
How many has he done?
Infinity. He's pitched more than Mark Pryor off that mound.
Joe Montaigne. One of the times I did it, Mark Pryor was the phenom. 6 months later, he's out of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Had nothing to do with my stretch, by the way. I'll give you another choice here. I'm going to give you a choice of well, you know what? Instead of giving you a choice, we'll just run through these. And you can tell me which one was the most memorable or the worst seventh inning stretch.
Okay,
because you know
great.
them all. Mike Ditka.
Come on. Hilariously the worst.
The story was Ditka was coming back from his golf course. He got caught in Chicago traffic. He got there 10 minutes before he was supposed to go up. He ran into Wrigley. They got him up the 3 flights of stairs. They stuffed him into the booth, and he was so amped, he went, take me out of the ballgame, take me out of the crowd, buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks, and he couldn't be stopped.
That's the one you put in the time capsule for the year, 30-30.
Here's one I don't remember. Mr. T did the stretch, and supposedly was not great.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not quite sure how you judge Mr. T compared to others.
Well, the way he held the microphone too low, so as he moved around, all you heard was the chains. So it was just chain. It's a very faint voice. And then at the end, he said, I pity the fool who don't score no runs.
Right.
So it was mildly threatening, and I think it scared some of the players.
Right. NASCAR legend Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon, do you remember this one?
No.
Jeff Gordon was not a big baseball fan because in the beginning and in the end, he referred to Wrigley Stadium while he was on mic.
Twice?
Yeah. Coming and going. Yeah. Not great.
No,
not great.
I think, and then he had to have like a Bartman security detail to get him out of the building. That's not cool.
Right. Mongo, the late great Mongo, Steve Mongo McMichael.
I love him.
The only seventh inning stretch player to be ejected by an umpire. If you don't remember this story, it's worth a search. Google it up. Mongo said, I'll have a few words with this umpire after the game. And I can tell you, once you're on mic, everybody is paying attention because they all want to sway and they all want to sing. Angel Hernandez looked up and just was pissed. And Mongo brought up something related to it, and he threw him out of the game. He thumbed him out of the game from the booth.
Angel Hernandez is and was a crappy umpire.
Yeah.
I mean, when you notice a play that gets blown and it's always the same guy, my friend Ralph Merniak had seats at first base in the front row there, right at first base, and we would ride Angel mercifully. He tried to toss us out. I mean, he'd give us a dirty look and not smiling, and we would consider that a win for the day.
No question. No, you're not wrong there.
Bad.
I'm spacing on the name. Needs to wash his hair. Detroit rocker.
Kid Rock?
Kid Rock. Kid Rock, this is a story Jeff Garland told me. Jeff Garland was in the booth. Jeff Garland, like you, a crazy Cubs fan. Mm-hmm. Jeff Garland was in the booth, and Kid Rock sang the anthem. Kid Rock was well lubricated by the seventh inning. Again, didn't know anything about baseball. So he goes, take me out to the ballgame, take me out to the crowd. He goes through all of it. And he gets to the end, and he doesn't know what to say. Garland leans in and tells him, and Kid Rock leans into the microphone and goes, let's get some lunch. Didn't hear the let's get some runs part. Yeah. But historically, other than Ditka, the one everybody cites as the worst ever was Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, that I remember.
Shut up! Ozzy just mumbled, hey, Ozzy sounds like he ate Bob Dylan.
And a rat or a bat, whatever it was. Think about this. Harry's been gone 27 years. So this tradition continues at Wrigley Field. People 27 years and younger have no idea where it comes from.
Right.
You know,
right,
I mean,
right,
they
right.
show the video every so often on the board when they can't book somebody. But that used to be always a fun thing. You know, how
Sure.
drunk is Harry today?
Yeah, no question. And it was a great thrill to do it. Have you done it?
I have not. And believe me, it's not from a lack of trying. It's basically, no, I'm sorry, you're not famous enough to do this.
No, that's not the case.
It is the case.
I actually, at one point, made a call for you on your behalf when you were in town and found out the guy that could make that call had left the job the week before. I don't know if you remember that story. Yeah. Yeah. Mark DeCarlo, you're fabulous. When can we see your movie?
It's going to probably be out at the latest Christmas time, maybe in the fall. I'm not really sure. We're just
Working
finishing up.
title, or have you got a title locked in?
We're pretty much locked on Pinocchio and the Water of Life, starring a bunch of really talented, funny people. It's the aim was to make it like Jimmy Neutron and Loud House and SpongeBob. Kids can enjoy it. There's jokes in there for grown-ups. The animation is really gorgeous, and it's been a great experience.
And honestly, you're hitting a hot topic because it's not politics, but lying has never been more common. And Pinocchio, famous liar.
Although we don't, yes, that in the Disney version, in our movie, we don't really lean into that too much. It's more about the becoming.
More of a kleptomania thing?
He's got a sex addiction. It's kind of weird. Yeah, there's no, and the lying doesn't seem to bother anybody. I was having a conversation with someone.
Not a political comment, it's just a comment.
Right. And they were like, well, what about this? What about this? Well, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
But
Doesn't
you
have
care
to be
about
true.
it if I lie.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly right. You know what they need?
They sure do. They got to survive 20 U.S.
Yeah. Hats and shirts available now.
Well, the key is talking to everybody. Like we started this whole thing, sitting down in a piazza in Rome and just chatting with people and getting to know them and understanding that we're all on the same team ultimately, right?
Yeah, talk and listen. Listen more than you talk.
Right.
I mean, imagine how much I've had to do today with you.
Right. Now I feel I'm heavily weighing on your back as you pull me through this experience.
Now, the one great thing we learned from this, and I thank you for this, is the Last Supper was the Last Supper because the disciples were rude.
Yeah.
And they had to move on.
We put you in your own room. You make a mess. You make everybody angry in the other room. There's a bar mitzvah in there. You ruin it. You're out.
There was a bar mitzvah during the Last Supper?
Yeah.
I had
it was
no
like an
idea.
Olive Garden, and there was like a whole party going out there, and they were unruly, and they're Lord this, Lord that. 13 checks. Forget it.
You know, when you're here, you're family. I love you, buddy. You're the best.
I love you back, Steve. Have a wonderful weekend, if that is all possible.
Yes, well, we're going to say goodbye in the right way. That's the way it should be done.
You're right.
All the best. Say hi to your lovely wife. That's the great Mark DeCarlo. Follow you on social where?
You can follow me on Instagram at Mark DeCarlo TV, on X, Mark DeCarlo, and we're going to be starting a new cartoon on the TikTok and the YouTube this summer.
Very nice.
I'll come back on and talk about that. That's
always busy.
going to be really cool.
Really looking forward to that call where you need me to voice something.
Yes. I did write you into one of my screenplays as radio guy. So we're auditioning.
Shows how
people.
tight we are.
Yeah.
If you see my work in Grumpy Old Men as a weatherman, you'd have more respect for me.
I saw it. It's amazing. You know what? Yenny had never, my wife Yenny grew up in Cuba, came here when she was 10. Huge Neil Simon fan. And we're talking about this the other day. And I go, well, Sunshine Boys, right? She's like, what is this? She had never seen the Sunshine Boys.
Come on.
So we sat down and we watched it and we laughed our asses off.
Jack Lemmon.
Almost 50-year-old movie. No, it's George Burns and Matthew.
No, I understand that. But out of that family of actors, in particular to Grumpy Old Men time, Jack Lemmon, to this day, is the coolest celebrity ever.
Why?
Normal, funny.
Did you hang with him while you were making the movie?
Million great stories. Burgess Meredith, every time I met him, he said, "Kid, you in the picture?" Yeah, because he literally hadn't remembered meeting me the day before. Walter Matthau pretended he was drunk, and I had to prop him up. He was actually drunk. It was a good time. And Anne Margaret kissed me on the cheek. Yeah.
Wow.
It's all a boy needs.
Yeah, she was on my freebie list for a long time.
She was probably 50, early 50s, I suppose, because this is going back 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
She's got to be 80 by now. I bet she still looks great. One of those things, I told her, I said, listen, you just name it. I'll commit a crime for you. Yeah. And she kissed me on the cheek. So
that's her way of trying to get you to do white-collar crime.
Yeah. And Burgess Meredith kissed me on the cheek and said, "You in the picture?" All right, buddy. Be well. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, Steve. Bye, everybody. Don't forget to visit survive2025.us.
God, you're good.
Should be Survive 25. I mean, that just rolls off the tongue, but who am I?
Thank you for listening to Live from My Office, a service of Monkey Run Productions. All rights reserved. The podcast is hosted by Steve Cochran, and it's mixed, edited, and produced by me, Ross Cochran. Steve is available for corporate speaking gigs. He would love to MC your event, and occasionally, he's funny. Thank you for listening. Head to cochranshow.com for more.
Apple Electronics is your number one destination for home with the best selection of quality Bosch appliances. Offering a full range of kitchen appliances that deliver superior precision important performance. You can own the kitchen like a Bosch. Their dishwashers and crystal dry technology deliver the ultimate clean. And they're even going to dry plastics. You don't have to have the argument anymore. Well, you didn't dry the Tupperware. Well, you don't have to now. Sleek refrigerators with VitaFresh technology is going to keep your food fresh. It's 3 times longer compared to refrigerators that don't have the VitaFresh. Oh, and they've got these very cool ovens that have a combination air fryer. Oven and air fryer together. It's a time saver. It's a space saver. Enduring commitment, quality, and design. It's all Bosch. Makes kitchen appliances invented for life. Thoughtful design runs through every detail of every Bosch appliance. It's a kind of quality that's both lasting and clear. And remember, don't forget about that promotional code, Cochran25, where you can save $25 at Apt or at apt.com. Thank you, Ross Cochran, for putting this together. And thank you for listening and watching live from my office.